Hi, welcome back to Being a Woman, where we talk about all things women, women empowerment, helping women step into their best selves, and healing women. If that is something you're interested in, please make sure to subscribe. So today we've got a very exciting guest with us. She's an occupational therapist. Hi, Malienke. Welcome to Being a Woman.
Thank you very much to be here today.
So I've mentioned the word now, occupational therapist. Please tell us, what is an occupational therapist? What do you do? Just invite us into your world.
Yeah, so occupational therapy stands in short OT and can work in various different settings, whether it's in a school or in hospital, or work at old age home, also in mental health. And what we aim to do is we try to enable success and participation in anything that they have to do in their daily life, whether it's their work or their academics or kids in school or play. We help them to be the best version of themselves in the task that what they must currently do.
Yes, and I think that today's topic fits into being a woman because most women are mothers. And so we'll be going a bit more into sensory integration. Please tell us, what is sensory integration?
Yes, so in the pediatric field, so kids, I work with sensory integration. So sensory integration is how our nervous system organizes the sensory input that we get. So it's how we process incoming sensory information, whether it's from our skin, what we hear, what we see, and what we feel. And then we got the three hidden senses, which is sensory integration is all about, is our tactile system, so that's our skin, how we interpret the information through our skin, proprioception and vestibular sensory system. Now, proprioception is where is my body in space, and our vestibular system tells us where is my head in relation to gravity. So, am I upright? Am I upside down? Am I busy moving forward? Am I busy moving backwards? Am I spinning? So that is how our system, that is what sensory integration is and how we make sense of the world around us.
When children come to you or come to see you or the parents make appointments with you, what are the most common things children struggle with?
So it can be a variety of things, but what we usually see is they're struggling in class with their academics, or I want to say their academic learning. So development occurs from a bottom-up approach. So what I explained about all the sensory systems previously is that all development stems from the bottom. And then if you would put all the skills that you would need in a pyramid almost, then academic learning will be at the top and all the sensory systems will be at the bottom. And if there is I want to say a challenge in one of those or multiple of the sensory systems, that would influence the rest of the skills that is needed for kids. So sometimes they struggle in class with cutting or pencil grip, or when struggling to read or write. That is what we usually see. From more a sensory perspective is maybe kids that struggle, they don't want to wear specific clothing, or they struggle, they don't want to brush their teeth, only eat certain food. So that can be examples of what we usually see.
And like body movements, like jumping on the one leg and...
Yes. So also maybe they struggle with more with gross motor skills, and that would come from that proprioceptive system where, like, where's my body in space? Do I know where my body is moving? So all the gross motor skills you will see, like skipping, jumping, galloping, struggling to do them with the correct rhythm. That is also things that we see. That is also examples of challenges that kids struggle with that they when they come to us. What is also actually evident in with the grade 1 and upward kids is that the letter reversals or b, d, or p, they struggle when they have to write it. That's also an example he can look out for.
So you talked about the development of a child and the things they do. So how can a parent distinguish between a development phase or a behavioral pattern in their children?
Yes, so we have to identify what is the origin of the challenge or challenges that the child is experiencing. If the problem, for example, is happening persistent all the time or across multiple settings at school, at home, different settings, then that might be an indication that maybe this is not just a developmental phase, but rather something that is more evident and happening frequently, and we should look more intensely or more we should look more carefully into it. And another sign can be is children of the same age also going through what my child is currently going through. That's how you can measure if the child is maybe experiencing some sensory integration challenges or only just going through a developmental phase. Developmental is usually short-lived, not for so long, but if it's, like I said, happening multiple times over multiple settings, it is something. It could be something more.
So it sounds like you picked this up in a peer group kind of way. So say, for instance, in grade 1, they should be able to do a list of things A, B, C, D,
yes.
And then it gets compared to the whole peer group of grade 1.
Yeah.
So just to see that they are level to their peer.
Yes.
And then you take it from them.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. What are some emotional patterns you see in children, and how do you deal with these emotional patterns?
So it's important to identify where these emotional feelings or tantrums is coming from. So often a child's nervous system is telling his body that he's not coping with this sensory information, and what must I do now with all this information? For example, a child can be sensory sensitive or avoidant, so he would for example, he would avoid messy play or don't want to brush teeth or eat certain foods. So that can be more from a tactile perspective, or he's sensory sensitive to auditory input, that, let's say, when he's in the class and all the kids are talking, he struggles to complete his work, for example. So that's one reason what the child is maybe trying to communicate. Another reason is that a child is maybe not sure, like, where is my body in space, and now I must dress my clothes, but I don't even know where's my arm in relation to my feet and the steps on how must I put it on. That is also something that children struggle with, and what a mom sees is that my child doesn't want to put on his clothes, but actually they might be trying to communicate as like, well, I'm struggling with the steps on how I should do it, so then I'll rather just throw a tantrum. So I think that is, so that's another thing that we can look at. Another one is often a child's body is a very busy body. We would often say a kid is a sensory seeker, but that you can only use sensory seeker when he is seeking sensory input in all of his different systems. But we often do see that kids are always on the move, trying to move their body. That is the nervous system's manner of trying to cope with sensory input. So they want to move and crash and bump against these just to try to regulate their nervous system. And so that is some type of the, I want to say, emotional behavior that we see, what children are often communicating when being busy or having the tantrum or having a meltdown in that settings.
Okay, I've heard you've said something about the sensory overwhelm now, and it really reminds me of my own son. When he was in grade R, he was like I picked up that he was like maybe he didn't want to do his work or his job or whatever he's supposed to do. He didn't really want to do it, or he didn't want to color, or he didn't want to do the painting thing. And I was like, and I sat with him and I just asked him like, what is going on? Why? I mean, you're fine at home. Everything is fine. And I feel like now it just came like a light bulb moment. It's like he does get sensory overwhelmed.
Okay, yeah.
So he told me actually that the children are too noisy and too loud, and then he can't focus on his work. So how can I help him with that then?
Yeah, so it depends on what, usually it's not a sensory sensitivity in one system, it can be in different settings. So usually an OT assessment would be a good thing to identify those issues. But if it can be maybe placed, we can make environmental adaptations. So you can maybe you can sit in a corner of the class that's maybe a little bit less busy, or just trying to, we do environmental adaptations, and sometimes with therapy that auditory sensitivity can improve. So it might not be something that we can address directly, but if through environmental adaptations we can address that as well, and through therapy.
So through these behaviors, can it maybe impact their social lives?
When kids struggle with skills that they developmentally need, it can definitely impact their social relationships. And for example, if they are in class and let's say they're on grade R and grade 1, they are now starting to compare their work, and they see, oh, my work is not as good as someone else, or they might not start to feel that I am not good enough. And that can impact social relationships in terms of, not just saying I'm not good enough and nah, I'm not good enough, I can't play with you. So let's say the boys are playing a skipping game, but I'm struggling with skipping, so now I'm not going to play with the boys because I am not, I can't skip, or I struggle to skip, I skip funny. So definitely developmentally, these skills, they need these skills, and if they are not on par, it definitely influences their self-confidence and overall just well-being, and in that way it can influence their social relationships as well.
Okay, so a child that maybe gives up easily, like you just said, like they can't skip exactly the way that the friends are, or they can't do certain things the same way their friends are, or something is too difficult, and then they just be like, I can't, so I'm not going to do it. They basically, they just quit. How should a situation like that be handled? Because I feel like quitting is not always the answer.
So we have to try to support our child the best possible. But if it's happening across multiple, it's always happening in class or always happening at home, we might need to have a deeper look, whether it's OT-wise or it's more from an emotional point, talking with a psychologist or play therapy, that we can identify the reason why the child is just giving up. Because a child actually has very good resilience in my sense. I think you will also know, I think every child has a lot of resilience in themselves, but when they're struggling with skills, they don't further develop their resilience, and it's tricky for them to, I want to say, build on that then. So we need different professionals' opinions maybe to help identify what is the root of the behavior.
Okay, so the giving up, we need to basically get down to a root.
Yes.
So, can't it sometimes be laziness? Can we?
That's as well. I'm not. I'm answering from also from my work perspective, but sometimes it is just.
Laziness.
It can also just be laziness. We as adults are not always on top of it. So sometimes a child can also just be, no, I don't want to do it. But if it's always happening, repetitive, then we might need to ask ourselves that maybe there's something going on more.
Okay. If our child is in the middle of a tantrum, what do we do? Because what are the steps we can take? What can a mother do to help the situation, but don't scar the child in the future? Like, how can a mother help a child in that moment?
Yeah. We have to acknowledge them, but we also have to get on their level, giving them a tight hug. From a sensory integrator perspective, that deep pressure is calm and regulating. So giving them a tight hug or rolling them up in a big blanket, just to give them that like deep and pressure sense of belonging. That's very good. You can also, if you have a yoga ball at home, if the child is willing to lie down, you could roll the yoga ball on the child, and maybe giving that a little bit to deep pressure input.
So say it is bedtime for my child, and he wants to play, and I'm saying no, it's time for bed, and he just says no. How can we handle that?
So I think that's where boundaries and routines come in a long way. A child needs routines and boundaries to feel safe and secure, because that is a predictable environment. If you have structured routines, boundaries, it reduces anxiety, and a child feels more safe without them consciously knowing it or realizing it. But it does help the nervous system to know what is happening next.
So I feel like this reminded me of this thing I started implementing. So when we go out to a restaurant, there's places the children play and whatever. And so if you tell a child then, okay, let's go home, they do not want to go home at that moment. They still want to play. So the thing I learned to do with my son is I give him like a 5-minute warning.
Yes.
I tell him, you've got 5 minutes to play, and then we go home. And then usually I would get a pout. Or in the beginning, I got a pout, or a sadness or whatever. But the more I did it and stayed with that strictly, like that rule of in 5 minutes we're leaving, the more he got used to it. And like now he's at that point of where I give him his 5-minute warning. He's like, okay. And then he would like start getting ready to leave.
Yeah. So that's perfect. Like a visual timer, or even with smaller kiddos, like a stopwatch or something, like just a visual timer helps them to visually see, okay, the time is coming now to an end. And like you said, if you implement it consistently, then they understand that this is the boundary. So I am going to go with the boundary now.
So I feel as a mother, you need to be when it comes to boundaries, you need to be strong in your no and your routine and your rules. I feel like children respect rules more. So I feel it comes back to tying you as a mother and as a woman that you need to be boundaried within yourself to help you have healthy boundaries with your child at the end of the day.
Yes, and I want just to add, you can do that in a loving way. It's not necessarily saying that I am a strict mom or this is my rules. You can do that with a loving heart.
And then I want to ask you is how can a mother, a self-awareness of her emotions, be a model to her child?
When mothers communicate a safe, relaxed environment, children subconsciously pick up on that in the brain. We call it mirror neurons. So they subconsciously take on what the caregiver is experiencing and feeling. So in that way, mothers definitely influence how a child is also feeling. But if a parent is always out of sync and not attuned to how they are handling their routines and everything what they must do, if they are feeling disorganized, that usually runs over to children because they don't know what to expect, or their mirror neurons is telling them, I don't know what to expect next.
Okay, so say there comes children to you with autism or ADHD, how do you handle these situations?
So depending on what the need of the child is, in occupational therapy, you can follow lots of different frameworks. At some point in the life of a child that has autism, then they might need the area sense integration therapy, or maybe when they are younger, they need a more emotional and social communication framework.
Do you work differently with these children in your sessions, and how would you work differently with them?
Not necessarily. All children, I want to say, is when they come for OT, they are evaluated in the skills that they need to be able to do on their age. And then depending on where the challenges are, where the challenges are, whether it's with regulation, trying to make sense of interpreting the sensory information, depending, that's how we adapt and how we work with them.
It might be a bit of a different subject, but if we can maybe just touch on this, if we can maybe talk about picky eaters, can you please go a little bit more in depth on that?
Yes, they may be sensitive to the different texture of the food, or because they struggle to identify what is in their mouth, so it's tricky for them, or they can be sensitive to the smell of the food.
Do you think they can outgrow these picky eating habits of them?
Each child is different, so you will have to see where are the needs of the child. We can identify then what are the specific challenge.
And what if it's maybe just in a way of they want sweets and chippies, all the guilty pleasures instead of actual food?
Unhealthy diet also contributes to poor sleep and poor just general health. So in terms of that, as a mother, you have to be clear boundaries.
I feel like you are doing this amazing job with our children and helping our children. What are ways that you have personally picked up that you, as yourself, as Malienke, this OT, made a difference in a child's life?
Yes, so I think definitely that sense of accomplishment that we see when they're doing an activity or wanting to show you a picture that they drew in class, is that they just come as this kind of light and joy, like I want to say outside of it, pops outside their eyes, and that you can see that sense of accomplishment of I can do this. I am confident. So I just think that that star confidence, that we equip them with the skills necessary that they need to thrive in class and around the playground. And if they feel I can do this, if I see that, then I feel I have done my job.
So you're not a mother yet?
No, not yet.
And working with children, how excited are you to be a mother?
Yeah, definitely. I always tell people I have lots of children. They say I don't have any children, but I say no, I have lots of children to take care of and think of. People always ask me, aren't you tired of children? I'm like, no, they bring me so much joy.
So I want to end this off with my final question. What does being a woman mean to you personally?
So being a woman to me means that I have this inner sense of, I want to say, peace at myself. And from this peace, I can go out and be a community or can be a person to help someone else. So for me, it's being happy with yourself, but when going out of this happiness, you can serve others and be a community to them to help others. So that's what being a woman means to me.
Okay. Malienke, I want to thank you for being with us today. It was really a privilege, and I'm just grateful to all the information you shared with us today and helping the women out there. So yeah, I just want to end this off and thank you for being here. That's all. Do you have any final words you want to say to us?
Oh, no, I just want to say thanks for having me, and it was lovely to share more about my job and my passion. All those kiddos always brings me lots of joy.
Okay, it's been great. And to you, thank you for watching and staying with us till the end. Until next week. Bye.